here in Chicago where they make all kinds of models for all kinds of clients, including architects and developers. But they also make models for films and sometimes even court cases for the jury to understand the space of an alleged crime. If you're new here, my name is Stuart Hicks and I teach lecture courses and design studios at the University of Illinois at Chicago. I'll be meeting a couple people over there at PSI to talk about what they do. The first up is Robert Becker. He's a friend and an architectural designer with a practice here in town, and he used to work at PSI before going on to graduate school. And he'll show us around and be able to break down just how the professional model shop thinks about models differently from how architects do.
Hey, welcome to PSI. Come on in. A few examples of some of the models that they make here at PSI. They kind of vary in scale and type. I mean, we have kind of a variety of clients, a lot of work for architectural offices. So if they need a massing model or something for a competition, they'll do kind of acrylic model like this, or kind of these smaller scale models, which are typically usually done within kind of a few days or a few weeks. And then there's a kind of model like that in the corner that's of a tower that was probably most likely built for a marketing office. At PSI, the job of the model maker is typically, at least in this context for this model, is to create an exact replica of a building. And so it's designed almost exclusively as a persuasive tool to convince a client or a developer or a potential buyer to actually invest in the architecture itself. Yeah, I guess model making is more about staging to the model maker than it is about the object, mainly because, how are you going to represent the building at a smaller scale? How much context are you going to show? What scale is it going to be displayed at? Where is it going to be displayed? How are you going to light the model? Is the model going to kind of come apart into pieces to reveal maybe other aspects of the design or kind of show something else? But obviously, everyone's got a Dremel of a bunch of different kinds of knives, scissors, 3 or 4 different kinds of tweezers that are, different shapes for different uses, paint brushes. It's like a dental probe, basically, like saw. That's the 4x4 laser cutter, which is nitrogen assist. I don't actually know exactly what that does. This is an important tool, actually, is the light and magnifying glass. Because a lot of the work you do is super detailed, so you need the magnifying glass to kind of see exactly what you're doing. Here is their paint booth, which you can fit a car in. It's huge. Got a panel saw, which makes it really easy to cut down larger pieces of acrylic. And then this room is the machine room. So they have a handful of different kinds of CNC machines. It's like operating a spaceship.
But not everyone at PSI goes on to become architects. Some have a love and passion for models and model making that keeps them in the craft. Now that we've had a look around the shop, we can get a sense of what the process is like to build a model from start to finish from a lifelong model builder.
Hi, my name is Martin Chadwick. I've been doing architectural model making for more than 40 years now. This is like the kind of process that we go through. The client will send a rendering, which I will look at, and he will send samples. And then I will do a mock-up like this. So that's a typical mock-up. And then I will either send that to the client or take photographs and they can approve it. And this project is 3 towers that are going in Nashville, Tennessee. And this is actually going to be like a traveling model. where the developer can take this round to various clients to actually sell his property. And so we tend to get all our drawings via the architects. I get a three-dimensional CAD file like this, and then I literally take that apart. And so then I will do some elevations like this, and I will literally send that across to the laser where it will actually cut out those files. Okay, so I've got my material on the bed. And this is some frosted mirror right now. So the first process is going to start to do all the scoring, where it would show all the joint lines in the material. So this is the second layer. So the first layer is the scoring, second layer is the windows, and then the third layer will be the final cutout. There it is, that's the final piece. So then if we go back to the model, so then the actual scoring gives you a surface, so then I would take that surface off. Take the backing off. And then I would actually miter the piece, but that has got a mitered edge. So then it would join this piece here. So then that literally goes on the building like that. And then it's pretty much constructing it like a real building, really. We build a core with a slotted floors, and then these floor plates goes on the core, and then it's the case of putting in the columns, and then it's literally cladding it, and this will eventually have a light strip in there of LEDs that will light up the whole building. So this is the base. It's going to have a battery pack in here, and there's these buttons here, and it'll light up each individual building.
While Martin is a very talented model builder, it seems like he might be cursed. Every model that's still in the shop has some tragic story, otherwise it would be off in the hands of its happy owner. And it seems that a vast majority of the models still lingering around this shop are Martin's.
So this was the Elysian Hotel in Chicago. I originally built this marketing model. It does light up. I finished this model. We sent it for a big opening party, and a week later it came back and they said, can you just cut it in half and add 10 more stories? And, that is not a reality. So we literally had to start the whole thing again and rebuild the whole model. Apparently it was like right before the Great Recession and everything stopped, and this scheme got shelved. This was supposed to be a gift to try and get them to sell up to buy the building, and they literally signed the dotted line before this one was ever delivered, so they didn't need it. Literally the developers went bankrupt before I finished it, and it's about 95 went bankrupt before I finished it, and it's about 95% finished. And again, it never left the workshop. And this one was actually for a court case, but they settled out of court before it left the workshop, so it was never used.
Making models can be big business. I'm told here at PSI that they've created models that are worth upwards of $1 million, and it took a bunch of people many months to create, if not years to build. It makes sense that making something so extensive would cost so much, but it's also pretty mind-blowing that people would spend all this kind of money on a model. But as Robert pointed out to me, some of the building designs that are passed through this shop, they would never have been built without a model, because no one would have bought it without this beautiful and tangibly scaled representation to show how wonderful it would have been. So for them, it makes perfect financial sense to pre-build the building as a model. And I'm glad it does, because models are beautiful and fascinating constructions in their own right. Thanks to everyone at PSI for letting me nose around, and to Robert and to Martin. If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy some of these others, especially the one about how models are used in firms from across the world. See you over there.